All right. Welcome, everybody. I know some folks are still trickling in, but we want to welcome you to our second event in the Way to San Jose Get Career Ready series. This is, for those of you who were not at our previous event, this event is a part of a specialized three-part webinar series for international graduate students who are joining San Jose State this fall. Of course, all are welcome, so if you don't fit into that category, we're still very glad that you are here. My name is Julia Dunn, and I serve as a graduate enrollment support specialist in the College of Graduate Studies. And my co-organizer, Carrie McKnight, who is also here to co-facilitate our panel, represents the SJSU Career Center. Carrie, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, thank you, Julia, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's here evening here, nighttime here in San Jose, 7:30 p.m. So I was about to say thank you for joining us tonight. Realize we're all in different time zones. I'm again a career counselor in the Career Center, and my main role is I work with graduate students. So I am your kind of key contact in the Career Center, and also work with Julia to do some events and programming through the College of Graduate Studies. And I put in the chat, if you're just coming in, if you could fill out the Google form there, that's our way of keeping track of who's come in to our webinar this evening. So it's right at the top of the chat, if you could fill that in as you're logging in.
And one other quick thing before we get started is we would like to let you know about our third event, which is happening in November. It's Succeed in the Global Workplace, and that'll be on November 12th. Around the same time, California time, so I guess November 13th in India and China. So let's see. Today for our alumni panel, we have four alumni here with us. And after they answer some of our questions that Carrie and I have prepared, we will have an audience Q&A. So if you do have questions for our panelists, feel free to put those questions in the chat, or you can wait to the end and ask your question live by unmuting yourselves. We do ask that you stay muted until that time comes. And let's see, we will be recording this session. So if you don't want your video to appear in the final product, feel free to turn your video off, or you're welcome to leave it on as well. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and invite Carrie to kick off our panel.
Okay, again, welcome everyone. I just reshared the Google form. If you could sign in, check in the Google form, we really appreciate that. Thank you. So we're going to kick off our panel, and the first thing we're going to do, have each of our panelists introduce themselves, and we'd like you just your name, what was your program or the graduate program you attended at San Jose State, and when did you finish the program? And you might want to share where you went to your undergraduate institution, you got your bachelor's degree, and then your current role or job title and the company organization where you're working. So I'm just going to go in order of what I see in my screen here. So I see you, Ramneet, if you'd like to just give us a real brief introduction.
Sure. So my name is Ramneet Singh. I'm working as a program manager at BAM Research right now. I graduated with Masters in Engineering Management in 2018 from SJSU. And before my Masters, I was in India. I completed my Bachelor's in Technology, and that was Computer Sciences major. And we're talking about year 2013. At that point of time, I graduated, have about 5 to 6 years of experience in program management, and I'm glad that I'm over here. I'm able to talk to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Samir.
Right. Hi, everyone. My name is Samir Saran, and I did my master's in computer engineering from San Jose State. I graduated in May 2018. I did my undergrad in actually bachelor's in automobile engineering, and after that I came here. And currently I'm serving as the founder and CEO of Parkstash.
Great, thank you. Aniket.
Hi everyone, my name is Aniket. I recently graduated from San Jose State University in May 2020. I am from Computer Science Department. I have done my bachelor's in computer engineering in India. Recently, I have started working at Clary. It's a startup. I have started working as a software engineer role.
Okay, terrific, thank you. And Vish.
Hello everyone, I'm Vishwanath. I graduated my master's program in software engineering just this May. It feels a long time, but it's just like 3 to 4 months back. And I'm currently working at AMD here based out of Santa Clara as a machine learning program manager. And yeah, it's been a great experience so far, both at SJSU and at the offices here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Julia's going to kick off, ask her first question here of Samir. And I think, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, and just a reminder that if she'll ask Samira, answer the question, then other panelists feel free to jump in after that, share additional, tips, advice, information, so forth.
Definitely. So Samir, we'll start with you for this first question. Why did you choose your program or major for the graduate study? Were there any on-campus resources or clubs that helped you succeed within this choice of study?
All right, yeah. So when I was doing my bachelor's in automobile engineering, I was actually involved a lot in robotics and embedded systems. And so although I chose mechanical, which is automobile, so my real passion, I believed after the third year, it really was in computer engineering and specifically in embedded systems. So I was just researching all the courses for my master's, and I saw San Jose State, it was offering master's in computer engineering, and it had a specialization in embedded systems, which was what I really wanted. So I was like, hey, Sami, let's go for it. And in terms of resources, the first one I would say was the department itself. Like I emailed professors for specific courses, and I got really replied right away that, hey, this is what we are going to use the tools for in this course. And that was really so welcoming. So I was like, I would never feel alone if I go to this university. The other reason was, especially it was in Silicon Valley. I love startup culture, and that's why I selected here. I also remember I was a part of Ideas Club, which is a great resource on campus where a lot of founders who just want to try ideas, or if you want to just meet some great people or mentors, you could join that club. And I also remember attending once a career center resume workshop where they gave a lot of tips about, little things that could matter when you give job interviews.
Excellent, thank you. Anyone else just want to share about maybe a resource you used or a club or org?
Exactly. So I was just about to add on to whatever Samir said. That's really helpful. And what I would like to share is when I started my journey with SJSU, I started my journey as a computer sciences major. I attended classes for about say 2 weeks, and I realized that maybe those courses I've already studied, or I needed knowledge in another area. So that's when so my whole what I want to let you guys know is that whenever you decide upon your majors, it's not that you're just stuck with it. Talk to other professors, reach out, like Samir said, you reach out to professors, find out what tools they use, what do they use as coaching materials in the class, what are you gonna studying for next 2 years, and then make those kinds of decisions. So it's about talking to people. They are so proactive, and reaching out is always so helpful. So I reached out to the director of engineering management, and that is when I learned that engineering management courses suit me better. And after studying computer sciences for 2 weeks, I switched my major to engineering management. And I think that, that was a good decision that I made, because computer sciences is something that I already studied in bachelor's, and going into detail is something I thought I'm not interested in. So explore your options, talk to people. You have, advisors, you have your professors, you have other people, those who have already graduated from those courses on LinkedIn, find them, approach them. And that's how you would, get your answers. So that's just my 2 cents of advice. Thank you.
Okay, great advice. Thank you. Aniket or Vish, anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I would like to add one more thing. Like in your department, there are multiple courses which will be available for you to study for. It is really important to decide which one you want to take. You can reach out to professor, read the green sheet for that course, and try to understand whether you want to get into that course or not. And that's really important research to do before you enroll. Once you enroll, there are plenty of resources. There will be projects, assignments around that course, and you will be expert in that. And those projects will be really helpful when you try to find the internship or the job, that's going to help with your resume. Another resource that was helpful in my department, there is one coursework which is mandatory, where they teach you how to write resume, how to write cover letters. That's not a technical coursework, but that actually helps, because the things in here are a bit different than my country. So that will also a helpful resource. There was also one CS club. They used to organize hackathons. So I will suggest to participate in those hackathons, those events. Those are really helpful as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I'll move to the next question. It's for you, Adisha, if you had other things to add in addition to what we just talked about. I have a new question for you too. Just kick us off with, did you have a particular project or an internship or maybe a student leadership role that really helped you gain important critical experience that led to your first job out of graduate school?
Sure. I think I had great experiences throughout my curriculum. One of the memories that I remember fondly is my internship last year with Coursera. So it's a startup. I've never worked with a startup before. I had some prior work experience, but that was always with a large corporate as such. So working here in Silicon Valley in a startup culture was a great exposure I had in that internship. And that's one of the biggest things about being a student here on F1 visa, that you get to try out different kind of jobs, different kind of companies, and then figure out what is the right fit for you, rather than be stuck on one thing or one kind of job. So that's something that I really cherish. And then of course I did a TA, teaching assistant job for one of the professors for one of the course that I really liked. And that was a unique experience. You get these kind of opportunities here at San Jose State. That's a great learning opportunity as well.
Okay, yeah. Any others? Thank you. Any others with just examples of maybe internships or projects or things that you're involved in that really helped you with your first job out of graduate school?
Yeah, other than the coursework, like many students used to ask me, like, if they don't have enough projects on their resume, how can they make sure that they can compete well with people who has a lot of years of experience? I realized, like, you can reach out to professor, ask them if they have any project in the mind, and they always help you if you want to do some extra work other than your coursework. So at any point, if you feel that you need something more on your resume, reach out to those professors.
Yes, exactly. Adding to his point, I just wanted to say that, unlike India, where I graduated with my bachelor's in computer sciences, the professors at SJSU, some of them are actually working in live industries, wherein they go work during the day and take a couple of classes during the evening, time. So when you reach out to them and ask those kinds of questions, they really feel that, okay, this person is really interested in learning more above and beyond the regular coursework, and that's when they seek help from you guys in the industrial projects, and that actually outshines everything else on your resume. Not just resume, but it gives you the kind of skills and experience which other people actually get on a job. So without being on a job, and when you are not able to work as an intern or a full time, but you still have those kinds of opportunities. So reach out to people. I cannot emphasize enough on it. You find people on LinkedIn and reach out to your professors, and just ask them. Okay, I really, I like what you're doing. I'm really interested in learning more about what you do, how you do, how have you reached to the position where you are right now. And those guys would just share their experiences with you, and that's the.
Very good. Thank you. Excellent advice.
Thank you, Ramneet. Samir, did you have comments on that particular question as well?
Yeah, just a few, one of the projects that I specifically remember that got my first internship itself was, I remember it was Comp 244. And the thing that I loved the most about San Jose State was how practical those classes that I took were. So I got Git version control, CAN bus protocol for autonomous. Everything was in that course. When I gave the interview, those were the questions that they asked me. And believe it or not, in the next 2 weeks, I got the offer letter for the internship. I served in that company for the next 3 semesters. So yes, it's very practical oriented. And when you come here, you're going to see it, because as Ramneet said, the professors themselves are working in the industry. And apart from that, one other point is the student leadership roles are also a lot that are available on the campus. For example, I was in the student union. So the current position that I am in, these experiences helped me a lot, because I was able to see what are the financial aspects of managing such a huge organization like the student union itself. And that helped me a lot.
Thank you. Great insights. For our third, I guess it's our third question, we'll start with you, Aniket. What advice do you have for new international graduate students interested in your industry? What trends do you see happening in this industry?
So yes, to just give you the background, I am from computer science background. The coursework in my department is really aligned with the new trending technology in my field of experience. But other than your course, if you want to learn something, if you find some coursework is not available, you couldn't enroll in that semester, you can always go on Udemy or Coursera, take the courses. One more thing you can do is do some certification if you like. Those certification can also add the value on your resume. I also used to read some blogs. There is one website called as highscalability.com. They talk about the latest technology trend and the architecture trends in the industry. And if you keep on reading those blogs, those are really helpful when you go for interviews, because you will be up to date with the current thing happening in the industry. So
Right.
Just to add to that, in the major that I did, which is software engineering, we do have minors of sorts, in a way that we have specializations, and most of these specializations are directly aligned with what are the trending things that are happening in the industry. For example, we have data science as one of the specialization, and that's in high demand these days. And I just heard that there's a new specialization introduced called AI. So which is everyone would know here on this call that that's the next big thing that's going to be most relevant for all of us. So the courses are very relevant to what's happening in the industry.
Great.
Exactly. So just adding on to whatever information these guys shared. So the professors themselves are also bringing in, guest lecturers to introduce you to something which is even not in course structure. That used to happen a lot with engineering management as my major. So professors would get some industrial experts to, brief you upon technologies that are upcoming or really into trend these days. And adding up to the Udemy and Coursera, yes, I myself still studied from those websites when I'm trying to up my skills. And just a piece of advice is that, when you're here and you're not earning and you're already spending on your housing and your tuition and everything, so Coursera has a financial aid available. So go to their website, you can apply for financial aid, explain your situation, and it's very easy to get. So don't, deter from applying to those courses. Apply for financial aid first. And the other thing I want to add is that for program managers, there's also like a Bay Area chapter. So find out which organizations apart from SJSU also has, meetup kind of a thing. So there's an application called Meetups. So there are all different types of individuals, those who would set up Meetup, not during COVID, of course, but earlier we used to have like Meetups in San Francisco and other areas. Right now we have some virtual events. So I was so surprised. I signed up myself for a meetup, and I met my professor actually at a meetup, and he was like, "Okay, so you're here, so you're really interested." And that's when you get into conversation with the professor. He actually made me meet to his colleagues in that meetup, and that's how you grow the network. So instead of just sitting back at home, I would say sign up with the Bay Area chapter of wherever you're interested in, and go for meetups. Those are virtual meetups these days, but still that's helpful. And you guys are here, so I'm sure you guys are already putting in that effort. So that's all. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And we, through San Jose State Career Center, we have what's called SJSU Squared, which is our own meetups and mentoring app that students can sign up for. If you want more information about it, feel free to contact me after tonight. So anybody else for that last question before we move? We're okay? Okay, I'm going back to you, Ramneet, actually. Okay, so the next question is, how have you been adapting your role to the current remote virtual workplace or work environment? And then what kind of advice do you have for students who are maybe interning remotely or learning remotely, studying remotely in this current situation?
Yeah, sure. So when this thing started in United States, that was like March kind of a time frame, and no one was sure it's gonna last for so long. So we were told, okay, it's gonna be a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and you'll be working from home, and we were all okay with it. So earlier we used to have definitive work timings, like we started 8, we ended like 5:36. But what happened with time is like, there's a very famous thing that everyone is saying these days. It's like you're not working from home, you're actually living from office, because now the work hours have just grown up. Like everyone just starts at 8, they keep on working, do some household chores, and they keep on working until late night. But I wouldn't suggest doing that. So I was into that cycle for a couple of months, I'll be very honest. But then I realized my productivity went down, like way down. So what I did is just making sure that I'm following the routine that I used to follow when I was going on site. So I used to wake up or follow everything that I used to do and just be on my desk, concentrating on the work I'm doing. Do a little bit of meditation or exercise you want to do in the beginning before starting your day, like you used to do earlier, right? When everyone is just going to work, and end your day at a definitive time. Make sure that whatever you want to complete during that day, you just end your day at that point of time so that you can focus on other things, you can learn other things. And what else? Like I would just say that if you're facing difficulties, working from home, talk to people like in your company or organization. Try to learn more from them, how they are coping with those kinds of scenarios, because they know, if you're missing out on a meeting, or if there's something that you should be added on to. So again, the same thing, I ask a lot of questions. And I just think that wherever I am or whatever I've learned is just because I ask a lot of questions, and people invite me to meetings. They would show me the things they usually do to cope up with all of those things. And that's all. Yeah.
Others with tips and advice about your own situation working remotely, and advice you might have for students that are studying remotely, working remotely, or virtual environment.
Yeah, I would just like to add that, as Ramneet said, like what I would suggest is really be laser focused on the task you have set while you're at home, and to be free of distractions. Like for example, kitchen is right here, let's go have some food. All those kind of distractions are really, really, take you off the task that you are doing. So what I do right now is, okay, I have 3 tasks to be done today. I'm gonna not leave my desk until those are done. And I'm not gonna start the TV or do anything. So but if you are laser focused, it's all about productivity. And the pandemic is nobody's fault. Everybody needs to keep moving and progressing no matter what's happening. So if you stay laser focused, you're still going to succeed in whatever you want to do.
And small tips like having a dedicated workstation, a desk where you go and work, and that office kind of setup at home typically helps. Initially, and I have to admit that I didn't have that kind of setup, and then I didn't. I was just lazing around on the sofa and trying to work from there and things like that. So that mode will not sustain over a period of time. You'll have to have your desk, your monitor, everything set up the way you work in the office or you would learn in college. So that's also pretty important for sustained remote learning.
Yeah, that's very true.
Exactly.
Definitely true.
So just adding on to whatever I said is, I wasn't sure that companies were also providing, desk and infrastructure at your places. So if you're in the United States and you're, interning or working a full time, just talk to your manager. I talked and I was able to leverage some resources, like you can get a dog, you can get those things so that you can set up a workstation. And of course, that's way more productive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like the idea of having a dedicated study and work place within your home.
Exactly. And yeah. So I was just saying that just follow the routine you guys were following before COVID. That's what's worked for me. That's how I've been really productive. So it's not like just going on and on until night. Have other things to do, and even if you cannot go out, maybe just learn new things and stop doing your work at what time you used to stop earlier, like Samir and Vish mentioned. So yeah, that's all.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's see, do I have the next question?
Yeah.
I think so. Okay, back to you, Samir. What resources outside of San Jose State have you used to supplement your career development or to build your network professionally?
Yeah, I would say that's a really difficult question because most of the resources I use were indirectly related to San Jose State. But still, for example, I was always participating in a lot of competitions, right? So one was Silicon Valley Startup Cup for just my startup, right? And this was not related to San Jose State. But when I presented there, I actually won the second prize in there. I got to meet some great mentors from, industry professionals who have been serving for almost 27 years in startup culture or even big corporations. So if you just open your eyes, there's a lot more to see than, you know, what you just see day to day. Apart from that, I think Ramneet mentioned one, there's this Meetup app, and they have like a lot of conferences, not just for, you know, sports, but for technical or startups. So I just used to join there. I used to go there, attend those meetups, and I used to talk with people and find a lot of people who could help me out in the technical or managerial space. And so those are some of the resources that I have used apart from those which exist in San Jose State.
And I just want to add on to this. In San Jose State itself, there are so many other, you know, departments, those who are ready to help you guys with your LinkedIn profile, with your resume and everything else. So just go attend those workshops for sure. I'm not sure if it's happening virtually or, you know, they're taking one-on-one sessions, those kinds of things. And also you would, whenever you enroll for a major, you also have a writing subject that's also supported by our writing department. So there are workshops. So just go to the events, find out the workshop that suits you and enroll yourself. And I'm sure you would not be disappointed.
Yeah, speaking of LinkedIn, LinkedIn is, I think, a great resource in general, just to have a network to build. But San Jose State students also get LinkedIn Learning Access, which has a lot of courses, online courses that you can. These are short courses. You don't have to, you know, enroll for a long running course. These could be just like as short as 5 to 10 minute videos, which could give you, which are specifically skill focused. So that's a great resource. And I believe they, at least I used to have the Safari online access where I could read a lot of books online for free with the SJSU account. So those are good resources that I used when I was a student there, and I use some of it even now.
Right. Annika, did you have something to add?
Yeah, even I use LinkedIn for networking in my field. It is never issue. If you find someone related to your field on LinkedIn, you can reach out to them, write a cold email. It's totally fine. Out of 10 people, 2 of them will respond. Don't just keep on adding people. Make sure that you have a correct message to them to get the connection. And yeah, that's really helpful. Another thing that I used was Handshake. That's a part of SJSU tools, but that is really helpful. There are many events on the Handshake. And also if there are any internship or job opportunities, they also arrive on the Handshake. So that's another tool.
You're doing my job for me. Yeah. So the Career Center.
I was going to say that too.
Make sure you use Handshake, and you can update your profile on Handshake. It's like a miniature LinkedIn profile on Handshake. So make sure you have that updated, because when you apply for jobs or internships through that, employers can find you, and events are posted there as well. And then Ramneet mentioned workshops. The Career Center is all virtual now. All of our workshops and our appointments and everything are all virtual. So please take advantage of those. Anything else for that question? I think I have the last question. Okay, so back to you, Vish. We touched on this a little bit already, but if you could add more about if there's particular professional development organizations or associations you would recommend for students to get involved, or maybe you mentioned LinkedIn learning courses, other types of training or organizations that would be good for them to get involved in.
Yeah, I think I can speak to the software and computer science audience specifically, but some of it could apply to other engineering fields as well. I think the number one thing that what I've observed that the industry looks out here from a computer science or software engineering major student is fundamentals in algorithms and data structures. So that's something that a lot of students, although they would have done undergrad courses there, the bar is so high here in the Bay Area that it needs a lot of practice and a lot of coaching and doing programming quizzes and things like that. So there are tools like LeetCode. There are tools. There are various other tools that people can use, but LeetCode is one of the popular one. And if you are into data science, there are Kaggle projects that you can actually get involved. There are hackathons that you can get involved. So those are things which will help every student kind of polish their skills on specifically these fundamental aspects, which are kind of the entry criteria for you to even get into a job interview. So without even going through a programming test, you can't even get a door into a job interview in most of the companies these days. So I think it's fundamentally, this is the right time to focus on these algorithms, data structures, and maybe some other programming basics so that you can face that when you want an internship or job later on.
Okay, thank you. Others for recommendations of professional associations, organizations that students can get involved in for your career area, your specialization.
As Vishwanath said, even I agree that leetcode.com is a really helpful tool for people from software engineering background and computer science. That's a free website. You can go in there, solve some coding quizzes. If you are from computer science department, there is also a coursework in data structure and algorithm, which is kind of really helpful when finding a job. So I would recommend if you can take that in the first 2 semesters, that will be great. There is also a blog called as highscalability.com. As I mentioned earlier, I used to read that. That also helps you in going over for those interviews.
Okay. Any
Aniket,
other?
do you think that you might be able to put those links in the chat? You mentioned a couple of
Yes.
websites that might be helpful for attendees. Thank you.
Yeah, I will add that.
Great idea. Thank
Great.
you. Anything else for recommendations of organizations, training, specialization areas? Did you have something, Ramneet?
So I was just saying that these guys have, almost covered it all. And apart from, the organization, I would rather suggest that try looking out for, blogs that people keep on writing. So just go to, so supposedly I was really interested in, what Tesla was doing or how their, electric cars are coming out or what technology they're using. So when you reach out to, read those blogs and you see people, those who are writing those kinds of blogs, you reach out to them on LinkedIn and find out the organizations they are involved in. So to actually, it's all about reverse engineering, as I would say. So wherever you see yourself, like if you see yourself like 2 years down the line after graduation, you see yourself as a machine learning, specialist or a data analyst or a data scientist or like me, a technical program manager. So what I would do is I would go to their profile, LinkedIn profile, and not every one of them, but most of them have already updated like which organizations were they a part of and what did they study apart from SJSU or from wherever they graduated, right? So they actually, like, I have listed down the courses I've taken from SJSU and which organizations I was a part of and what did I do in those kinds of projects. So that is the the reverse engineering I was mentioning about. So you see yourself like 2 years down the line, this is what I want to become. Try to find those people. When you find those people on LinkedIn or wherever, you just find out what they have done and try to do the same things or try to talk to them and ask them how to join this organization if you're not able to figure out. But everything is, just a search away, and you could get a better list of organizations or communities that those guys were a part of, and just try to do the same things to get to the same level. And also not just the profiles of people, even when you're not able to do an internship or a job, just instead of focusing on which subjects should I take or how do I study or those kinds of things, what you could do is look at the job responsibilities. So you would see like 10 job responsibilities and go through like 10 jobs. I'm sure you'll be able to find out like 5 to 6 common job responsibilities or key skills that's required for that kind of a particular position. And then you figure out which courses do I need to take to get those kinds of 5 to 6 skills, or which communities do I join, or which organizations do I join to get those kinds of skills and experience. And that has helped me a lot. That's all. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for all of that. Yeah, we also have through the Career Center, we have a app called Focus 2 where you can do career research to find out about what kind of skills are required for your career field. And plus they have a list of professional associations connected to careers. So it's another resource that we have through the Career Center. So I think
we could probably also put that link in the chat too, right, Carrie? If folks are interested in learning more about it, at least.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect.
Okay, so do we want to go to questions that are already in chat, or?
Yeah, I think we could start there. We have had a few questions in the chat. some of them are field specific. So I'm not sure if all of you, have any thoughts on these. If you know about opportunities for cybersecurity on campus or in the field, Silicon Valley. Maybe not. We'll follow up with that person.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Carrie.
No, that's okay. Yeah, we'll follow up. So there were some other questions earlier on. How the opportunities in the field of VLSI for electrical engineering? Anybody have an answer for that? So that was one of the earlier questions.
Yeah, I'm not a person who is from electrical engineering, but I would just like to emphasize over here, you guys, when you are at SJSU, you guys are in the heart of Silicon Valley. Opportunities are everywhere. You just have to, show the employer how you can outshine from others. What is it that you have done apart from other students that is actually building your experience and key skills? That's all I would say. So if there are 500 students graduating from a particular major, say electrical engineering, I would just say, how are you different? What does your GitHub say? How are you different? What over and above you did apart from just your regular studies? Reach out to employers, and there's hundreds and hundreds of opportunities. I have a very close friend of mine, those who are in the VLSI for electrical engineering, and please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I can get you guys in touch with that particular person. He's working with Amazon right now and in the VLSI department for Amazon, and he's doing great. I would say there are hundreds and hundreds of opportunities. It's just that you have to hustle. You cannot just sit and have a laid back attitude and still think that there are opportunities now. But if you are trying to focus and work towards it, there's endless opportunities in Bay Area for sure. And also looking at the next question, someone was asking about if there's any alumni from industrial and systems engineering. So that's going to be me. Industrial and systems engineering just used to be one department. Later on, they segregated and added on to engineering management. But still, we have 80% of the coursework from industrial systems engineering. So you can reach out to me if you have any questions over here or on LinkedIn later. No problem. Thank you.
So Julia, did you want to? Oh, good. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, about the cybersecurity question, right? I think that's one of the emerging field. Everyone should be, I believe, is aware that cybersecurity is a growing field given how internet is scaling to various domains. And I believe there's a specialization in software engineering around cybersecurity. So there's a bunch of courses that are aligned with cybersecurity that if someone is interested in aligns directly to that particular area of interest, that field that is kind of highly relevant today. So there are opportunities, I believe, in this field. But although I directly don't work in that field, I believe that's a hot topic and a hot area that's growing.
Mm-hmm.
I think we actually offer a certificate program in cybersecurity. So if I find that link, I'll put that in the chat for whoever is interested.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
So it looks like there was a question maybe in here twice. Please talk about specialization in computer engineering, like the specialization, where there are job opportunities and some challenges. Anybody want to jump in?
One of the specialization that I'm aware of is data science, which is what I did as part of software engineering. I believe that specialization is also available for computer engineering, and that has courses around data mining, analytics, data analytics, and machine learning, and a lot of courses around that. So I believe that's a high demand specialization, and people do get jobs as data scientists or at least data analysts to begin with in the industry. I've seen that. Although I think it depends on a lot of other things that you need to do beyond just taking up all the courses.
So I think we've addressed the questions in the chat. Do we want to see if any students feel they'd like to verbally ask a question? I think we could go for that. If you want to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask some questions.
Or if you're able to raise your virtual hand, I think that's an easy way.
That's
If you're finding that you're having trouble unmuting yourself, we can unmute you. Let's see if anybody has.
Do we have to? Yeah, I guess raise your hand maybe.
If not, feel free to just unmute yourself and jump in. Let's see if anyone.
Okay. Somebody be bold and be the first one. Good opportunity. Okay, here's another question. Any tips on how to manage coursework and these interview things? I'm not sure what that, maybe whoever wrote that question, give us a little clarification about that. Maybe they're looking for interview tips, possibly.
That's really a good question. I used to remember like when studying for the coursework initially in my first semester, the coursework in here are pretty busy. It's not like back in my country where you just study for the end exam. It keeps you busy. So you have to manage the time where you can study for the coursework, do your homework and assignment, and at the same time, you need to focus on preparation for interview as well. Because if you don't keep the balance in the end, even if your coursework grades are good, you might struggle with interviews, and you don't want to just go for interviewing only. Otherwise, you will struggle with your coursework. So keeping the balance, have some dedicated time for both of the things. Having a schedule now, the things are virtual online. So it is very important to keep on track. You are not meeting your colleagues, so you don't know what other people are doing, what is their track. So you need to keep your own track running and keep doing on things.
Okay, just to thank you first of all, and just to add on to that, what I would like to say is the thing that I learned, when I started studying at SJSU is back again in my country when I was doing my bachelor's. I just can give examples because that's where I'm from. So what we used to do is we used to look at the assignment due date, and if assignment due date is let's say October 15th, we'll figure out okay, we need like 6 hours to get this assignment done. So we'll start, noon on October 15th, or maybe even later. And that's if you try to do those things, when you're in states, it really does not work. There's gonna be, last minute things that'll come up for you guys, and if you're trying to solve something and it really doesn't work out, and then you ask your professor, okay, hey professor, that I cannot submit my assignment. Okay, can I get another day? You will be knocked off 10% to say 50% of your assignment grades, depending who the professor is and what kind of assignment is. So what I learned is as soon as you get the assignment, get it done and keep it separate. Don't share your assignments. It's pretty strict, like, that kind of mentality when people, just come to you and ask. It was really awkward for me as well, when your best friend who's staying with you and maybe in the same room, comes to you and says, here Omnit, I saw you completed your assignment. Can I just have it? I'm not going to cheat, but what I'm going to do is just look at it. So earlier I was like, a little hesitant, but I couldn't say no. And what I learned with the experience is I would just tell them that, hey, is there a question that you're struggling with? And I can help you understand the basic behind those questions so that you can do well in your own assignment. I've seen people, those who are, trying to find out someone else's work and, try to do something last minute and the grades suffer. So that's the coursework. And regarding the internship or interview search, what I would say is have mock interviews, talk to your friends, have a group, set up a mock interview kind of a thing, virtual. The more experience you have, the better you're gonna do in the next interview. Even if the job you think is, you got an offer, you got a call for say job A, and you think that's not the best job here, and even maybe you're not going to accept the offer for job A, still go to the interview, find out, even if you think that, that industry isn't for you, still go to the interview, get experience, talk to people, and that's how we are going to do better in the next interview. So don't say do interviews, and try to talk to your friends, set up mock interviews, and those things. Yeah, those are my learnings.
That's great. And we do also mock interviews through the Career Center. So you can make an appointment and we'll do it through, over Zoom. We can do a mock interview with students.
Awesome. And that's professional, right? See, so we have got a lot of help here.
You got a lot of help, yeah. I see another question here about asking about job opportunities. We already talked about that. Okay, that came back. Well, it's related to cybersecurity again. The question about citizenship. So I think maybe we might follow up on that, Julia, later. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And Remy, there's a shout out. Somebody found your comment about sharing assignments helpful. Often as students, we don't know how to navigate those situations. So
I'm glad. Yeah, and of course, yeah, those are the kind of things you would learn, how to actually talk to people. That's also a skill.
Exactly.
yeah, navigating tricky situations.
We were talking about interviewing. There's a question here about how to prepare for data science technical interviews. Does anybody have advice about preparing for technical interviews if you had?
I can take a stab at it. So a couple of things that are really essential, I believe, is one, Python is really a must now if you're trying to get into data science. So if you think your Python coding skills are not up to mark, it's something that you can practice on LeetCode or any other platform. You need to have at least some fundamentals about things like statistics, linear algebra, or some of the math related things like calculus, pre-calculus, not too much, but at least some fundamentals. And then you need to pick a problem that you are interested in and go find a data set that you want to solve, try to solve that problem using a data set. So there are a lot of websites like Kaggle. I can probably add that on the chat, where you can go find a data set which is related to the problem that you're trying to solve. And then try to use different methods. You find a lot of resources these days. There's a lot of blog articles and a lot of YouTube videos, people trying different techniques. There are Jupyter notebooks, which has a lot of things already done, similar things being done on different data sets. So you could try all those things. And so once you have all that, you would build some kind of a hands-on experience with data science projects. And that's very much important, and that's what the industry looks for, having some kind of experience with playing with data and trying to do some machine learning using some of these data sets. So I think those are the steps that you need to take to kind of crack a data science interview.
Thank you. Yeah, then keep an eye out for events. The Career Center does events. If you're part of the College of Engineering, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble speaking right here. They have a lot of events. I think they're doing a workshop on technical interviews coming up really soon. So again, keep an eye out for the newsletters and announcements you're getting in your email.
That's a great point. And the Engineering Student Success Center also has programming within the college. Definitely something to keep an eye out for.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other questions? Have we addressed all the questions that are in the chat, or did we miss any?
I think we covered mostly everything in the chat. If any more attendees have questions, we have our awesome panelists for about 10 more minutes. So feel free to ask any questions that you have remaining. Let's see.
Anything else coming in? Yeah, thank you, and to the panelists too for sharing links in the chat. That's very helpful, for the students. And anything we don't address, we'll follow up with students afterwards. But while we're waiting for more questions to come in, do you have any other advice in terms of podcasts maybe, or newsletters, or even books that students can learn more about developing their skills, or anything else that you're all using?
Or even social media accounts, any other resource that you might interact with on a day-to-day or somewhat frequent basis that helps you in your career.
Yeah. You guys have anything else that we didn't address already?
So I would like to share just a little bit of personal experience that what I learned and gained some insight about myself at a podcast from Jay Shetty. I'll just put in a link over here. So that's not related to a career, or that's not related to internships or jobs, but that's related to your own personality. I don't know if you guys have heard of his name. Again, his name is Jay. And I was really intrigued by one of his podcasts wherein he invited Robin Sharma. So Robin Sharma has various famous books like The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari and other kind of books, which I really love to read. So in his podcast, he was discussing about a routine that I already shared with you guys. So even if you're working from home or you're working remote, still he shared how people can gain and how people can benefit from waking up early even before sunrise and trying to get the things done even before the day starts. So they are more disciplined and those kind of things, and that has helped me a lot. So I'm just going to put in a link. So if anyone is interested in listening to those, you're most welcome. Or if you want to chat more about it, you're most welcome. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I would love to chat about those podcasts. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramneet.
Yeah, I would just like to add 3 books that I absolutely loved. Not exactly related to just technical knowledge, but these were the ones that inspired me. Like one, if you really want to know what technology would be like the next Facebook or Google, it's not going to be an operating system. So it's 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. So he's one of the early investors in Facebook, and it's a really amazing book. It opens up your mind on how you want to think about when making new products or technology. And the other one, which is actually really relates to this environment, which is the pandemic, is Rework. And this is a story about how people started a company, and it was all virtual. They didn't even had any office, and it's just like they built this product in totally virtual environment, and now they are succeeding even without a pandemic. And the third one is Good to Great, and that is by Jim Collins, and it really tells of how which companies really go forward and become great, giving almost 100x returns, and which just leave at good. So all these, although are not technical, but it would really help in your overall thinking and professional development.
Thank you. Those are great advice, great resources for students to follow up on. Any other questions coming in? Or again, feel free to chime in if we can take you off mute or put in the chat. So we just got a few minutes here.
Somebody did ask, would any work experience prior to our master's degree be advantageous when attending interviews for internships or full-time jobs in the United States?
Does anyone take that?
I can take that. So having work experience helps in certain situations, but I believe that shouldn't be a deterrent for people who don't have work experience. I've seen people with absolutely who are fresh out of college who come here to the masters get into companies like Google and Facebook. So I believe you just need to be a little more stronger in some of the core things that I mentioned earlier with writing coding challenges that they present, and how best your code works compared to how others are submitting, or some of the best practices that you can talk in interviews. So I believe if your fundamentals are strong in your field, you have an equal chance. Otherwise, the experience will become other talking points in interviews. But then I believe it's a level playing field irrespective.
Exactly. And I would just like to add on that experience matters. And I've seen people with zero experience still getting a job, and that's true. But how do they put experience on the resume is by doing the projects that we talked about, those industrial projects, those hackathons, and again, showing how you're different from other people. What is it that you were interested, even if you did not get a chance to work right after your bachelor's, you came for master's, or even if you came for bachelor's over here and you have zero work experience, it's not like your resume is going to be empty. You have to put, the internships you did, the volunteer projects you did, what kind of meetups did you go to, what did you learn, and those activities, sometimes are long activities. What were you learning? So when you put those kinds of things, experience really does not matter. What I mean to say is, the job experience does not matter, but it's not that, none experience is required. No, experience is required, and it's not job experience that you can only gain back in your home country or in the United States. Experiences are of different kinds. You can get internship, you could get projects, you could get volunteer projects, and it's very easy to find. It's just that you need to find the right resource to grab onto that project. And I've seen many people benefit out of it. I would also emphasize on one of the things that, other fields are good, but when you come for a managerial kind of a school like engineering management, the jobs out of engineering management are sometimes related to managerial positions, and that is where they kind of seek experience. And getting certifications like PMP requires you to have at least 3 years of experience working as a manager earlier. So it's not like end of the day, it's not if you do an engineering management, you cannot get into a good job. Definitely you can, but it's only that you cannot get into a managerial role. And of course, that's understandable, right? And there are so many other things. Even in my major, when we talk about industrial systems and engineering, there are courses that you can take from computer sciences or software engineering. So there are two courses that you could take from any major. And that's where I, learned data analytics and business analytics, and those are the technical courses that you could include in your non-technical kind of majors as well. And there's also courses, if you're engineering management major, I'm just talking about that major particularly over here, you can also take courses from business schools. So taking courses like negotiation, conflict management, and if you think you don't have experience, maybe you can take engineering management courses. So, there are different types of courses, and you just have to, choose the right eclectic mix for yourself. Talk to people, and then you can find those things for yourself. Yeah.
Thank you. So we just got a couple more minutes. There's one question, if anybody can jump in on this. It looks like the question is about searching for summer 2020, 2021 internships. Do you have any sense of when companies would start to do their interviewing process? I know that you can start applying now for summer. Does anybody have experience with that? When interviews would start? I mean, I know that they're recruiting now this fall already for summer internships. So definitely start your search now. And as already mentioned, Handshake is a great resource for that, and the Career Center in general.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. The good companies, like, I when I was doing my master's, there are good companies like Under Armour, Facebook, Google, hire ad hoc, but the plans they have for internship programs, they have, specialized for people, and they know the headcount. It has already started. So this is a good time to, start looking at it. Even if you reach at a time frame where in January next year, you would be losing out on those wonderful opportunities of internships. So there are two different types of opportunities. One is like, a company gets a project and they plan, or they want to hire a resource and they get a resource, and that can be done in summer next year itself. But when you look at, planned internships, like their internship programs, and they know that they're going to take 20 best students of United States, and that applications have already started. So keep an eye on that. Get your GitHub profile up to date, and those kinds of skills would help you. So I would say now is the right time to start applying.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Go ahead, Julia. Do you have anything else that we need to wrap up? We just got a couple minutes here.
Yeah,
the time.
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, but I wondered if any of our panelists would like to put their email addresses or their LinkedIn links in the chat. I'm sure that that's a good way for attendees to follow up with you if they have questions, if you feel comfortable.
Yeah, it's up to you if you feel comfortable doing that. We appreciate it. And then I've shared in the chat a few times the Google form, the sign-in form. So we appreciate it if you could do that. That way we can track who was here. And then if we need to do any follow-up of some of the questions, we'll have your information on the Google form. So it's just like a sign-in form. So please do that. And we'll give a moment here if anybody wants to have any other closing comments or anything, bits of advice to our last minute. Okay.
If not, I will just mention really quickly that the recording of this session will be posted at the Way to San Jose webpage on the College of Graduate Studies website, and I'm putting that in the chat. So if you want to revisit this video, I'll have it posted within a week or two. You'll have that direct link.
Okay, I guess it just was a question. They were looking for the form again, so I'm just sending that out again. You can sign in there. Okay. Thank you so much to our panelists. We really appreciate your time and your wisdom and your advice and experience with our students. I hope, really means a lot that you participated with us tonight or today. And again, thank you for sharing your advice and information. And we look forward to seeing students at our next event. So this is the event coming up in November, Succeed in the Global Workplace. And we have a guest speaker who's a new faculty member at San Jose State named Damon Moon. So check out information that'll be coming to you through our messaging. Julia will be making sure those messages gets out, and through the social media of Way to San Jose Instagram. So Okay, well, I think we're just at time. And again, we'll stay on here if students just want to make sure they filled out the form and are picking up any links through the chat. And again, thank you to our panelists. We appreciate your time.
Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
so much.
Thanks, Julia.
Julia and
Thank
Kelly.
you.
And all the best to everyone.
Thank you so much. You guys are putting a lot of effort. Thanks.
It was a pleasure to have you. So thank you for taking the time to help out our students.
And of course, thank you all the participants as well for joining this event. I'm sure this is going to be helpful, and hope you join all other events as well.
Yeah, I hope to see all of you next month.